Hello everyone. The COVID-19 pandemic is really troublesome and it's really frustrating the hell out of a lot of people, and it's really upsetting to see so many deaths and so many confirmed cases all around the world. 3.5 million cases have been confirmed. Those are just the confirmed numbers. Some terrible and lot of upsetting news have been all across the world, but there are some really non-upsetting news as well. So we'll be talking about this in this video, so keep watching. Welcome to another video. In this, we'll be talking about the travel ban, specifically the travel related things which are like prohibited and the new restrictions which are made in India by our Honorable Prime Minister, and it's being termed as Lockdown 3.0. Yeah, you might be hearing this on the news, but yes, it's in action and there are some new rules and new regulations which are coming out from it, and yeah, these are a little bit different from the previous ones, so we'll just go them one by one. Let's have a look at them one by one. Speaking of worldwide statistics, the United States has crossed over 1 million cases of infected patients and over 65,000 deaths. And the story in India is not doing so well. In spite of the lockdown and travel bans and flight restrictions, the number of confirmed cases daily growing, and it's currently nearing about 45,000, and over 1,000 deaths have been occurred in our country. Well, sometimes a country's pride comes from its military, and our Indian military is no exception. We are really proud of our military, and hats off to the lovely job they are also doing in association with all the doctors and nurses and those who are actually helping the patients trying to recover from them. So to show their appreciation to the doctors and medical staff, the Indian Air Force flew past a lot of hospitals and medical centers, showering them with flowers. It's such an beautiful sight to see and rather very pleasant, and it puts a great sort of admiration for them, and which is really nice to see amidst this pathetic situation. Coming to the point, the Indian government has put an extension to the world's largest lockdown for more 2 weeks, starting from 4th of May. Speaking of travel by air, the Indian government has extended the suspension of flights for further delays and more prohibitions till 17th of May. With the continuous suspension of international and domestic travel, schools, colleges, theaters, and shopping malls and other businesses will remain closed, and only some of the essential shops like groceries and ration shops will be open, and some social gathering places are also supposed to remain closed. Surprisingly, the government has allowed to keep open the agricultural business. I wonder why. However, one good news, trucks, cargoes and flight carriers which actually transport goods from one place to another within the country will remain open, as the recent lockdown has proved to be a massive risk and troublesome for migrant workers and all the people at the state and borders, and so the government is trying to ensure that certain supplies are brought to them in time. In general, for the normal citizens, interstate travel has completely been banned. You can take any other examples like railways, metros, like long route buses will all remain closed, and no form of travel is actually allowed within states to state. As you can assume, the effect on India has been massive. India being third or second highest economy in terms of prosperity and growth in Asia, and this lockdown has proven to be a massive hit to the economies, as we all can understand. If you're liking this video, do hit the thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe. Hit the notifications bell so that when I upload a new video based on traveling and based on travel related tips and tricks, you will get the notification and you can see as soon as it comes out. As I was saying of aid, the government has given access to certain special trains to migrant workers by the end of Friday, so that some of the people stuck in different parts of the country can actually go back to where they are supposed to. Well, what's new in this coronavirus lockdown 3.0, you might ask? There's something called divisions and zones, which the country has been divided, and small districts, small cities, big, small, irrespective of that, into certain zones, mainly four: the green, the orange, the red, and the containment zones, which I will be telling about in a short. And in the description, I will give a link to, you can see the states and the places which are under which category. Let me explain you the categories and what they mean. Coming to the figures, 733 districts in the entire nation will be divided into red, orange and green zones. added safety and protection, the zones will be revised, I think, on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, and special protection and special restrictions will be put upon the red zones. So what do this color and the zones mean? Well, perhaps the most relieving of the three would be the green zones. As the color and the tone might appear, all national activities will be allowed in this area, surprisingly considering it's locked down still, and which suggests that these areas are nearly free of the toxic environment and the virus, and normal life would be presumed to open. Facilities would be like public transport, including the bus, might operate at 50 to 60% of their usual capacity. You can see some of the green zones, like the places in which they are marked as green. You can go through the list. I will give the link of the states you can see for yourself in the description below. Then comes your orange zone, which is like the intermediary level, and in which restrictions are very moderate, but care will be taken. Of course, there should not be any subtlety in these areas, but essential commodities and services in the form of e-commerce or maybe offline are allowed into certain aspects, and let's see what they can. However, a difference from the green zones that buses are not allowed. Small two-wheelers like rickshaws and automobiles and two-wheelers are allowed, I guess. And yes, a little bit of mobility is restricted compared to the green zones as expected. And I will be putting up some of the states in orange zone. As you can see, like these are all the orange marked district zones, and I will similarly give a link of the orange marked areas in the description below. Speaking of the red zones, yes, it's terrifying to understand that some of the most important cities, like the metropolitan cities, come under the red zone, which is like marked as highly under threat. Sort of like the contagious levels are high and the transport and the mobility is really less. None of the public transport will be open, like very few, under very special circumstances, under some special drivers, and none of the like the commercial things will be open, such as malls or places of public gathering. Essential commodities will be available, but at your own risk. Social distancing, maintaining, and banning of travel is going to help us in the long run if you want to fight this coronavirus. As you can see, a lot of the important cities are actually coming into the red zone, which is highly thing to debate, and it's a very sad times for this. Well, if offices are working, it's highly unlikely that most of them will be open. Offices are supposed to run at 33% of their usual capacity, and liquor shops are not open, and which might be open in some of the green zones as mentioned by the directive from the government. The red and the orange zones will have intense surveillance, house-to-house surveys, and asking what's happening and what are the newest cases, and are you in contact with someone else. Like top-notch security and precision will be taken in order to prevent the cases and contain the infected people, and escorting the patients to the proper authorities. Movement in these zones are strictly prohibited, and only for medical excuses or medical emergencies will they be allowed. The link will be in the description if you want to see the full list for the red one. And the last but not the least is the containment areas, which is very sad to hear. The containment areas are like a big X. The entry or exit of complete human life will be prohibited. Like these are completely under control, and it's just like a barricade in which you cannot really access it. Even if one is stuck, you have to be inside. If you're outside, just stay the hell out of it. Not to mention the essential services will be open, but any other thing are completely shut. Speaking of India as a country, the biggest and the most economically viable cities such as Bengaluru, Mumbai, Delhi, Madras, Allahabad, Kolkata are in the red zones. They have been classified as highly infectious zones, and they are on strict lockdown. So it's very unfortunate, as a lot of families might be scattered at different states, and as the travel is banned, so you cannot really stay with them. You have to be where you are, and you have to sort out this quarantine and do the best out of it, and staying at home and not traveling is the best option. You cannot really go outdoors. If it's absolutely necessary, you must, you have to get some essentials, or if not, you better stay inside, as travel is not the option right now. Like you, like me, a lot of us were expecting that by 3rd and 4th of May, when the lockdown would be out, we might be going outside and like trying to relive the normal life which was supposed to be previously. But with the incoming of this new edition, lockdown 3.0, the same situation will be there, and we are supposed to stay indoors for a bit, like more 2 weeks till the situation is under control. Like speaking of control, the only thing which can help us would be maintaining social distancing and thinking of a vaccine. To prepare a vaccines of this sort, it might take months, like over 6 months. But a lot of researches are being going on, like in the US, like in India. A lot of effective methods have been carried out, like short kits in which you can detect someone has coronavirus or not, like from the IITs or some of the research medical institutes in India, which actually take a privilege in maintaining and making a very viable kit, which actually leads the doctors and finding out actually. As you might be seeing the news, one of the most prominent and important like positive outcome of this coronavirus pandemic across the world is repair of the ozone hole, which lies above the atmosphere, and it prevents the harmful incoming UV radiation from the sun. And yes, it's not a daily thing. We do not really think about much in detail because it's not really in our grasp, but it really protects us from the dangerous radiations which the sun throws about on earth. So yes, 10 years prior, during the global warming thing, there was a big hole, and it's supposed to cause skin cancer to a lot of the people in some certain part in the hemisphere. And now, since it has been repaired, so Earth is like healing itself. And yes, that's one of the positive out things. And also things like pollution in some of our Indian cities are really some of the highest ever. Like just some months back, before this pandemic, cities like Delhi and Mumbai were having high spikes of pollution, like soot, particulate matter, breathing quality, air quality, toxicity levels. And now it is like less than 10% in certain parts, which is just the fact to show that human intervention has really affected the planet and the environment around us. Like it really causes problem now, since we are trying to stay indoors and reducing manual work, and it's really the nature is bringing back the usual stuff which is supposed to get going. Well, as a matter of fact, the containment zones and the red zones are actually termed as hotspots. So these are like the zones in which the highest risk of infection are there, and in which you might certainly not try to step in. You must try to stay away from them. You know, the Indian government has launched this Arogya Setu app like couple of weeks ago, in which a lot of people are really using to keep track of themselves, the zones in which they should be and should not be. And since the number of daily cases and deaths are surprisingly increasing, yes, a couple of days the number of cases have been increased, but the recovery rate is also increasing. So that's some good news. But daily increment in the positive cases is a really bad sign. I don't know, the lockdown isn't handled, but somehow the cases keep seeping in, and we do not have really adequate kits or medical facilities all around, like in every district, which causes a problem to a lot of people. Like people from different districts travel to certain hospitals just to get their checkup and just to get admitted, and it's really, the situation also messed up because the number of people who are infected and the number of equipments and kits and beds and treatment which are supposed to get are not really delivering as the rate promises. But that's we can't really help, because it really, the resources really fall short. So that was all about the travel things and the travel restrictions and about the coronavirus lockdown 3. I was supposed to, like, I wanted to share this message and some of the information news you might be knowing, you might not, and hope this video was a little bit helpful to you. If you like this video, definitely give a thumbs up and leave a comment in which how you are spending your lockdown and quarantine at your home, and if you are stuck somewhere, which place would it be. So till then, I will be coming back with another video. Let's see what I can do. You can see the Indian Air Force. It's really beautiful, and wow, it's fantastic to look upon the beautiful things, and it's just goes to show the admiration of the doctors and the medical staff, which is really heartwarming. So that was pretty much it I wanted to tell, and hope you guys enjoyed it. So I'll be back with another video. Till then, do not forget to subscribe and watch my other videos if you haven't, and I will leave links to some news and the list in the description. Do not forget to check them out. And till then, see ya.